Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And so today we are focusing on the Pixel A series in, the launch of the Pixel 9a coming April. These devices exist, and I mean all of them exist because Google was after a market that was money conscious, wanted to get a good phone, wanted to get that Pixel experience, but didn't want to spend an arm and a leg for it. And that's the reason why these came. While some of them seem questionable because of the flagship counterparts, overall, again, the experience is brought with a much cheaper price tag, and it's a good thing. This pretty much pushed the mid-range smartphone market to push harder and do better with their products from different brands. So I kind of like to give that to Google and their Pixel A series lineup, with the very first one being the Pixel 3a that launched in 2019 at Google I/O. This device was rumored, as you know, lots of rumors of Google Pixels tend to fly around the year, and in that year people were talking of a budget Pixel, and it came at Google I/O, and it was very impressive. When I first got this phone, I compared it to my Pixel 3 flagship device, and the experience as far as user interface and software optimization and everything was on par with my flagship counterpart. But this had a polycarbonate body, and it had a much better battery life. And while it didn't sport the front-firing speakers, the audio from it was pretty decent. And I like to think with this purplish color, Iris is kind of a throwback to it. But then launching at $399, this device came, which had people even more impressed by it, the Pixel 4a that launched at $349. So compared to its previous first gen model, they lowered the pricing, and you got a really good experience with this one. And it didn't come with a lot of Google quirky colors. I mean, it was just black. Eventually they released a blue version of it, but for the most part, that was that. And it didn't have 5G, which the 4a 5G did, obviously. And, very close to this Pixel 5a that I'm holding here. And the only difference between the 4a 5G and the 5a is that the 5a has a metal unibody, a slightly bigger display. But other than that, the processor chip, same, and same with camera sensors and everything like that. But the 5a bringing water and dust resistance and a metal unibody frame, this was a sign that Google was all vested in the A series devices, as this was the last one with a Qualcomm processor chip. Going forward in the chapter of Pixel A series, this device had the best in battery. It's like Battery King, and I'm interested in seeing if the 9a will beat this when it comes to battery. But as we close in chapter 1 of the A series, we begin chapter 2 with the Pixel 6a, and this is when Google really started to kind of just tighten things around them. In their quest to make everything in-house, basically, they introduced the Tensor G1 in the Pixel 6, and this was the first A series device to have the Tensor G1. So this, in my opinion, is where I'd give the thought of a budget flagship, because everything about the 6a was very similar to the 6, other than the size of the display and the battery. But it did have the Tensor G1 chip and the Titan M2 security chip, and the same modem. But launching at $449 for the 6a came afterwards the 7a, which launched at a $499 price tag. And a lot of people questioned this phone's existence compared to the Pixel 7. Now, with that being said, if you take out the comparisons to the flagships and just mainly focused on the A series devices, then you'll understand why this was a significant jump. So we got an increase in the camera sensor to a 64 megapixel, which started to kind of just change up and allow us to kind of grow with the photography that we were doing with Pixels, as that's what they were known for. The Pixel 7 bringing up new camera, and basically on top of that, kind of just maturing with the Tensor G2 chip and the design of it, which then is led up by the Pixel 8a, and this was the introduction into AI known as Gemini. While you also had a slightly design change up with rounded corners on the top instead of squarish rectangular design, you got Gemini Nano on this, and Google continues to push the growth of Gemini, even to the point where Google Assistant is going bye-bye, and that Gemini is completely taking over at this point. And, you know, of course, you got a better modem for network connectivity and the Tensor G3. The Pixel 8a definitely showing the growth and path that the A series is going down. And I hope that Google keeps the A series going and does not end things. Like, there's always this rumor that the A series is eventually going to end. I hope not, because these are great devices for the money.